Lads, we gotta talk about something right here.
Person on Twitter, and I've got all the screenshots. I put them up. I wrote about this in May.
Just made the funniest All-Star selections ever.
You know that moment when someone completely flips the script and leaves everyone else scrambling to catch up? That's exactly what happened when Caitlin Clark sat down for the WNBA All-Star draft on ESPN. While everyone expected the usual player trades and team chemistry discussions, Clark had something completely different in mind. She looked straight into the camera with that confidence we've come to know and just casually announced, "I don't know if this is in the rules, I don't really care, but we're trading coaches." The entire basketball world just stopped. No hesitation, no asking for permission. She basically told the entire WNBA establishment, "Actually, I'm going to do this my way." And here's the thing that has everyone absolutely losing their minds right now. This wasn't just some random trade suggestion. This was the culmination of one of the most strategically brilliant All-Star draft performances we've ever witnessed. Because while everyone else was focused on player selections and team chemistry, Caitlin Clark was playing an entirely different game. She was systematically building a roster with zero drama, zero controversy, and zero people who had ever said a negative word about her. Then, as the perfect cherry on top, she traded away the one coach who represented everything that had gone wrong in her relationship with the basketball establishment. You're about to see how one 22-year-old turned what could have been the most awkward All-Star situation in WNBA history into her greatest victory yet. And the timing? Absolutely perfect. Before I show you exactly how Caitlin pulled off this masterpiece, hit that like button if you're ready to see some elite-level strategic thinking in action. Because to understand why this moment was so significant, we need to talk about the elephant in the room that's been following Caitlin Clark for over a year now. Her name is Cheryl Reeve, and she's the Minnesota Lynx coach who was originally supposed to be coaching Caitlin's All-Star team. Now, if you've been following this story, you know that Reeve isn't exactly what you'd call a Caitlin Clark supporter. In fact, she's pretty much become the face of everything that went wrong with Clark's Olympic snub last summer. Let me paint you a picture of how deep this goes. Back in May 2024, when Caitlin was tearing up her rookie season and bringing unprecedented attention to the WNBA, Cheryl Reeve decided to get on social media and basically complain about all the coverage Clark was getting. She posted things like, "Also in action tonight," followed by hashtags like 12 teams and "the W is more than one player." The message was crystal clear. She thought Clark was getting too much attention. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Reeve was also the head coach of Team USA when they made the decision to leave Caitlin Clark off the Olympic roster. Officially, Reeve wasn't on the selection committee, but let's be real about what happens behind closed doors. When the head coach of Team USA is publicly complaining about a player's media coverage, that sends a message. And just recently, reporter Christine Brennan dropped some serious allegations in her upcoming book about Caitlin Clark. She called Reeve's behavior stunningly bad and questioned how USA Basketball could allow their coach to be actively tweeting and going on social media about someone who is in the selection pool. Reeve fired back, calling it all fiction. But here's the thing. Those tweets she's claiming never existed.
Got all the screenshots. I put them up. I wrote about this in May. I obviously do my due diligence always, of course.
They were deleted. And Brennan has the screenshots.
She then deleted all those tweets. So I would say I'll throw that out there for public consumption. Why did she delete the tweets?
So when the WNBA announced that Cheryl Reeve would be coaching Caitlin's All-Star team based on the Lynx having the best record, it set up what could have been the most uncomfortable coaching situation in sports history. But here's where Caitlin Clark showed exactly why she's not just a basketball genius, but a strategic mastermind. Because when you look at every single pick she made in that draft, a pattern emerges that's absolutely brilliant. First pick, Aaliyah Boston, her teammate. Safe choice, chemistry pick, someone who has her back. Second pick, she could have gone with A'ja Wilson, the reigning MVP. Instead, she took Sabrina Ionescu. And if you know the WNBA landscape, you know that Sabrina has been one of the few veteran players who actually embraced Caitlin from day one. She's never been part of the rookie hazing, never made side comments, never thrown shade. Third pick, here's where it gets really telling. She finally took A'ja Wilson, but only after securing her allies first. And Wilson, despite all the early season drama with that hip check incident, has actually been pretty respectful toward Clark lately. Fourth pick, Satu Sabali, another player who's been vocally supportive of new fans and the Clark effect on the league. But the bench picks? This is where Clark's strategy becomes absolutely undeniable. She goes with Kelsey Mitchell, who's not just her teammate, but someone who's had her back all season long. Then Gabby Williams, a player who's never once said a negative word about Clark publicly. Sonia Citron comes next, and here's why that's brilliant. They actually played together on Team USA and won championships together, so there's real chemistry there. Jackie Young gets the call too, and if you know Jackie, she's one of the most professional players in the entire league, never gets involved in drama, just goes out and hoops. Finally, Kayla Thornton from the expansion Valkyries. Again, zero history of beef, zero controversy. Now, here's what's really telling about Clark's approach. Let's talk about who didn't make it onto her squad. Angel Reese, for example, ended up on Collier's team instead. And look, Reese has absolutely killed it this season and deserves every bit of recognition she's getting, but there's still that underlying tension from all the rookie year drama. Clark could have made a big statement by picking her, could have tried to bury the hatchet publicly, but she chose chemistry over headlines. That tells you everything about her mindset going into this game. One content creator put it perfectly.
Team Caitlyn, no ops allowed, except Aja. We ain't stupid. Aja's that good. Yeah, you're picking Aja Wilson.
And that's exactly right. Clark picked the one player she couldn't afford not to pick, but everyone else? Pure strategy. So there Clark is, sitting with this perfectly curated team of allies and professionals, and then ESPN asks about potential trades. Now, remember, everyone expected maybe some player movement, some strategic swaps. Instead, Clark delivers the line that broke the internet.
To be completely honest, I love my team. I think they're great. I don't have any intentions of really trading any of them. I don't know if this is in the rules. I don't really care. But I think we've already discussed we are going to trade coaches.
The confidence in her voice, the casual way she dropped it, the I don't really care if it's in the rules. This is someone who just decided she wasn't going to let the basketball establishment put her in an awkward position, and she was going to fix it herself. Nafisa Collier immediately agreed, and you can see why. She gets her actual coach, Cheryl Reeve, who she has genuine chemistry with. And Clark? She gets Sandy Brondello, the New York Liberty coach who's actually coached Sabrina Ionescu and has a track record of supporting star players. But here's what makes this moment even more perfect. The ESPN broadcast team was clearly caught off guard. They're trying to figure out if this is even legal, if the WNBA will allow it, what the precedent is. And Clark is just sitting there like, figure it out, this is happening. The genius of this move cannot be overstated. Instead of spending 2 weeks dealing with questions about the tension between her and Reeve, instead of having to navigate awkward press conferences about their working relationship, Clark just eliminated the problem entirely. She turned potential drama into a win-win situation where everyone gets what they want. And the way Collier responded?
And you know what? That's just going to be worse for Team Clark because now we got more chemistry on our side, we got more synergy.
You can tell these two had already talked about this. This wasn't a spontaneous decision. This was a planned strategic move. Now, let's talk about the timing of all this because that's what makes this whole situation absolutely perfect. This coach trade didn't happen in a vacuum. It happened right as Christine Brennan's book is about to drop, right as the Cheryl Reeve controversy is heating up again, right as everyone's questioning whether the WNBA establishment actually supports its biggest star. Clark just sidestepped all of that. Instead of being forced into an uncomfortable situation that would dominate the headlines for all the wrong reasons, she created a storyline that makes her look like a strategic genius. The narrative went from awkward tension between Clark and Reeve to Clark masterfully navigates politics and creates perfect team chemistry. And here's the economic reality that nobody's talking about enough. This move probably just added millions of viewers to the All-Star game. Last year's All-Star game was the most watched in WNBA history, partly because of the Olympic snub storyline. This year, Clark just created an even better narrative. She's got her dream team, her preferred coach, and she's going up against the coach who represents everything that went wrong with her Olympic experience. The beauty is that it's not personal drama, it's professional excellence. Clark positioned herself as someone who takes control of her own destiny, who doesn't let politics dictate her experience, and who turns potential negatives into positives. Look at the social media reaction. Fans are calling her a genius. Content creators are breaking down the strategic brilliance. Even people who aren't typically Clark supporters have to respect the move. She took what could have been a mess and turned it into a masterclass in public relations and strategic thinking. From a business perspective, this is exactly what the WNBA needed. The league has been walking a tightrope all season between supporting their biggest star and managing the veterans who feel like Clark gets too much attention. This coach trade thread that needle perfectly. Cheryl Reeve gets to coach Nafisa Collier, who's having an MVP caliber season and deserves her own spotlight.
So
Clark gets
maybe
to work
we'll
with a
get crazy
coach
with the
who's
guards
proven
here in
she
the
can
second
handle
round. I don't know.
superstars and
They're out there a
maximize their
little-
potential. The WNBA gets a compelling storyline that focuses on basketball strategy rather than personal drama. And the numbers don't lie. All-Star voting was already record-breaking this year, with Clark getting over 1.2 million votes. Now, with this added layer of intrigue, you're looking at potentially the highest-rated All-Star game in WNBA history. The casual fans who maybe haven't been following all the behind-the-scenes drama now have a simple narrative to follow. Clark versus the establishment, with her hand-picked team against the traditional powers. The merchandising opportunities alone are massive. You've got Team Clark jerseys, the coach swap becoming a social media moment, and a game that suddenly feels like it has real stakes despite being an exhibition. Looking at where we are right now, this moment represents something bigger than just an all-star draft. This is Caitlin Clark establishing that she's not going to be pushed around by league politics or forced into uncomfortable situations just because that's how things are done. She basically sent a message to everyone. I'm going to surround myself with people who support me. I'm going to work with coaches who believe in me. And if you want to create drama, I'm going to eliminate it before it starts. That's the kind of mentality that separates superstars from everyone else. The ripple effects of this are going to be huge. Other young players are watching how Clark handles these situations. Coaches are seeing that their public comments about players might have consequences. The WNBA front office is learning that their biggest star isn't going to just accept whatever situation they put her in. And here's what this means going forward. Clark has basically established herself as someone who controls her own narrative. Instead of being reactive to drama and controversy, she's proactive about creating the environment she wants. That's how you build a sustainable career and maintain your sanity in a league that can be pretty brutal to its stars. The All-Star game itself is going to be incredible. You've got Clark with her perfectly assembled team, playing for a coach who actually wants to be there. You've got the storylines, the talent, and now the added motivation of proving that this strategic approach was worth it. What do you think about Clark's strategy? Was this a genius move, or should she have just dealt with the Reeve situation? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more WNBA analysis. Because if this All-Star draft taught us anything, it's that Caitlin Clark is just getting started with showing us how the game is really played.